Thank you very much for that warm welcome, and welcome to my city, welcome to Liverpool. I was just looking at the strap line, inspiring women. I think it undersells the Women's Institute because I think you've inspired towns, cities, um, people, but the whole nation, I think, is being inspired by the Women's Institute. Of course, tomorrow is an important day. I remember about 17 years ago watching a Prime Minister coming to the Women's Institute. No, I'm not going to get a slow hand clap. In fact, I think I was slow hand clapping in the home watching it on the living room telly. So, a warm welcome to Liverpool. I apologise for the weather. Usually I get the blame as mayor for everything that goes wrong. So, this auditorium, this particular arena and convention centre is owned by the City of Liverpool. And what we've tried to do is grow our city, grow its confidence, grow its brand as a famous city. In 2008, we were awarded the European Capital of Culture. We've got a fantastic city that was 100 years ago the second city of the empire. Now, whilst we are not aiming to become the second city of the empire again, we want to continue to grow our city and create opportunities for all who live here, and not just in Liverpool, but around the city region of Liverpool. I think we've also, in times gone by and even today, we've got inspirational women that have come from Liverpool that inspire me and challenge me to make sure that women's voices are part of the democratic process within Liverpool. My deputy is a female. The top 4 out of 8 executives within the City Council are women. Out of 5 assistant mayors, 3 are women. My cabinet is 50% split. Out of 80 councillors that are Labour councillors, 40 of them are women, 50% more than any other city across the country. And I think it's that value. I don't believe that we should rest until we continue to have more influential women in influential roles across the country, and I'm glad that we've got a police and crime commissioner in here in the city region that is also a female too. So look, my city is a warm and friendly city. As I said, you are more than happy to come here again. I actually do want to thank you so much for choosing to come back to Liverpool. I hope you have a great stay and are able to see some of the sights around Liverpool and some of our attractions. Whenever we have conferences here in the city, I say if it's your first time that you've come to Liverpool, please go back and tell your friends to come and visit Liverpool and to see what we've got to offer. And the second thing I always say, and I'll remind you of constantly every time you come, while you're here, dig deep and spend as much as you can. Please enjoy the day, and as I said, a warm welcome to you all from the City of Liverpool. Thank you.
Right, good morning everybody, and welcome to our annual meeting in Liverpool. It's really good to see so many of you, and I was going to say when I wrote this on such a lovely sunny day, but at least it's not raining, but I did notice you all sort of got blown here. I hope you had a good journey without incident, although I have to say I don't think there ever is one without incident, is there? When I was elected chair in 2013, I knew we were already preparing for the centenary celebrations. And also one of the policy decisions we made as a board was work towards narrowing the gap between the NFWI board, and there are only 13 of us, as you can see, and the membership, which was around 220,000 at the time. We set ourselves the challenge to meet as many federation representatives and WI presidents as we could with the Inspiring Women Working Together conferences. 2 days at 10 venues, plus islands and a London meeting, taking just over 6 weeks. We met a large number of members, I hope engaging them in what the NFWI does, and remembering that the board work with the staff at 104 New Kings Road and the NFWI unit at Denman, as well as the Wales office, and that is to fulfil the objects of the organisation. The centenary grant scheme, running over 3 years, allowed NFWI to give financial support to federations to promote the WI, increasing membership and showcasing the organisation on banners on buses and cricket matches, promotional stands at county shows and many more events. Currently, the board continues to meet the members when we go out to promote the opportunities for all. As we know, membership has increased considerably over the last 4 years, from 212,000 to 225,085 as of today. An increase in 2013 of 22,867, 2014, 24,392, 2015, 35,820, and 2016, 48,142, totaling 131,221 new members and 498 new WIs. Now, so obviously we have lost some members in the meantime during those 4 years, but it works out at an average of 32,000 new members during the past 4 years, every year. So well done, everybody. The formation of new WIs, some of which have large membership numbers, has changed the way we communicate. Growing online communication with the members across all social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Also, increasing use of video promotion and sharing member activities across the NFWI committees. WI Life and our more regular methods of sharing information continue to bring NFWI activities and committee projects to the members. As I said, the way we communicate with people and with each other has changed, and it has developed quite a lot in the past decade. And so has the way that the NFWI is communicating with the members. It's been really important to have good communication and to hopefully continue to reduce the gap between the NFWI and the membership, and this is still paramount. We have created a members-only area on the website. After many months of hard work and a lot of planning, we are now about to launch the MyWI website, a members-only area on the NFWI website, bringing what NFWI has to offer you and for you to access at your leisure. The aim of the site is to make it as easy as possible for members to access any topic they want to know about regarding the NFWI. This website will combine information with inspiration, as well as connecting with every WI member, whatever her level of involvement. This will bring NFWI and the members closer, not in the same way as the 2014 conferences did, or the current opportunities for all. Every member will have all the information and expertise she might need, easily accessible through the MyWI area of the NFWI website. The new and easy to access website has been designed exclusively to enhance members' experience of the WI. It will contain everything that you need, from advice on running a charity and the WI constitution to brand new craft projects and cookery ideas. The new dedicated website has been specifically designed to reach out to every WI member and provide the information to get the most from the WI meetings, planning the most engaging events, and provide inspiration and guidance from the NFWI. Now, I know you all know, or I hope you all know, that the WI members' details are securely stored on the MCS, on the Membership Communication System. And this allows us the facility to communicate with members throughout the organisation. Every member who has a valid email address saved on the MCS record will be able to log into the new site and will automatically be sent their login details and step-by-step instructions for accessing the website. This will happen gradually on or after the 12th of June, which is next Monday. So please look out for an email from this date. If your email address is already saved on the MCS, you'll be sent everything you need without having to do anything. If your email address isn't yet on the MCS, please make sure that it's added, and then you will be sent the login details. This new area on the website has been designed in consultation with WI members and tested by WI members to make sure everything is easy to find. There is information for every member to access depending on her interests, from policy information explaining how you can get involved in your WI committee, public affairs guidance about proposing new resolutions, to explanation about how to engage more with Federation Board trustees and everything in between. The new site will have a brand new search function and navigation system to make the site user-friendly and as simple as possible. And because it's only accessible to members, the content is truly exclusive to keep all the members informed and up to date on everything that's happening through the organisation. Alongside this information, there will be plenty of inspiration with dedicated projects, activities designed by the NFWI committees. Whether the member wants to plan a craft activity for her next meeting, if she needs something last minute because the speaker's cancelled, or if she simply wants to try something new on a free afternoon at home, that's what I'm going to do. MyWI site will be regularly updated and engaging projects for all members to try and whatever their level of skill and experience. So this could be a great opportunity for your WI or your craft or leisure group to get together with one member using her email address, accessing the MyWI website, and to look for an activity that would support their own needs in whatever committee you're having on. So you might be wondering what the NFWI committees are doing to support this new venture. This is only a snapshot of what they're up to. The Craft Committee has received funding from the Ashley Foundation to digitally record the NFWI textile archives, and the link will be available from the MyWI website to the digital archive once it's been completed. The Cookery Committee will have exclusive content to help support WI and federations to offer food and garden related activities. There are also a number of skills videos to help members develop their cookery and baking skills at home. You will also be able to access information about the Huxley Cup, the Lady Denman Cup, the Elizabeth Bell Challenge, to name but 3 of the activities that we have on offer. Equality and diversity training will be incorporated into all training courses, and a checklist for WIs will be available on the MyWI website. Public Affairs Committee will have information and updates on all the activities concerning campaigns and resolutions. You'll probably be wondering what will happen to the current website and the WI Moodle. The WI Moodle will continue to be used as a training platform, which was what it was originally designed for, and it has become a bit unwieldy in the last few years. Nearly all the non-training content that is currently on the Moodle will be transferred to the MyWI website to ensure that we have easy access. The new MyWI site will be an extension of the existing NFWI website, and it's only just for members. Non-members and members who don't have an email address on the MCS and a password will not have access. You will also be able to access the MyWI area on your iPad, iPhone, tablet, laptop or your computer. And the current NFWI website will be developed by the communications team, and as you will soon start to notice a big improvement on there, and it actually will have more information for people who are potential members who are wanting to join the WI and anybody who wants to know anything more about the WI. So now we're ready to go. Make sure you have your email address on the MCS before the official launch date, which is Monday the 12th. So you've got a few days to get ready, and then before we start contacting everyone who has an email address. So I know you will all be eager to give it a go, or should I say test it. With over 200,000 members and an email address, our limited number of staff will be stretched to the limit. So please don't think it's going to happen overnight. Just be patient. they will get to you if your email address is on there. So, moving on. Along with preparing material for the members-only area of the website, all the committees have been busy. Membership has designed mini totems to help WIs and federations brand and promote their meetings and events. I mentioned the craft committee and the NFWI textile archives. There's also an exhibition of spoons, knitted, stitched, crocheted, then dipped in porcelain, and that's at Salisbury Museum until the 3rd of September. Cookery, which will now be known as Food and Garden Committee, with the Craft Committee, are holding Healthy Living and Wellbeing Week in June 2018. The new Huxley Cup is being trialled in a new form this year, and the Elizabeth Bell Challenge was to write a digital story, and the Lady Denman Cup was to write a letter to younger self. Nearly 200 members attended the driving days, and they're more to follow. And following the success of Sports Week in 2016, the next one will be the 15th to the 22nd of September 2018. Public Affairs launched our second report on maternity care in January, and in February we turned Valentine's Day green, which show the love for all those things that we claim to lose, we could lose by climate change. Members have sent clear messages to supermarkets during the weekend of action to see more action on food waste at all levels in the supermarket chain. And members in Wales support the Not in My Name campaign to address violence against women, support the Midwives campaign, and have recently established links with Digital Communication Wales, who are providing training for members to improve their IT skills. Now to our WI Our Future membership questionnaire. Earlier this year, many of you completed our WI Our Future membership questionnaire. Members filling in the questionnaire could, if they wished, enter a draw to win a 2-night course at Denman, and 5 lucky winners have been informed. We had an exceptionally good response, with a high level of agreement that you were all proud to be WI members, and that you were likely to continue your membership, which is actually nice to know. As the chair of WI Enterprises, when we introduced WI Life, I was delighted to see that WI Life is the second highest level of communication next to WI meetings. A couple of surprises. Members were least likely to have joined because they'd retired, and WI officer training rated highest in the quite useful section. Then conclusions. Many of us have the same reason for joining the WI. Friends are a key influence, outisms and social groups are important. Members want to evolve and attract new members, and there's a synergy with older and younger members on key areas. The comments from Denman on the questionnaire were: new members have never visited, and newer and younger members were less likely to know that Denman was not funded from the subscription. 35%, only 35%, said they would be prepared to fund it as part of the WI subscription. And the main reason, according to the survey, for members coming to Denman was to do residential courses. Having said that, Denman's courses continue to book well. This year the team have already met their bookings target, and there's still a long way to go. We need to actually fill every bedroom and every classroom. As you know, Denman gives bursaries, and we're delighted that federations and WIs are increasing the number of bursaries that they give to, and also there's the Denman Dip, which is very popular. And I'm sure that you've noticed that if a member comes to Denman on a course, having got a bursary, there's a very good chance that she'll come back again and pay for herself to come and do another course. You've just got to get them through the door. But let's be positive, but cautiously optimistic about the future of Denman. Let us not be complacent, and please remember what Lady Denman said when the WI members bought Denman, and that it was up to them to support it financially. And this is the way it has to be, and it's likely to have to be like that for the foreseeable future. There is no way anyone can ever promise never to close Denman. We can't see into the future. Fundraising will continue. After 2 years Saving Denman appeal is finished. The group have done a great job, and we'll be leaving certain things in place so that money raised by the members will continue to help with the maintenance of the buildings and the gardens. The latest figure I have was £360,000, so that was a good result. Thank you very much, everybody. Julia will... It's all up to you. Julia will be telling you about the financial situation, so please give generously at lunchtime when a number of Denman ambassadors will be in the building with their Saving Denman buckets. You've probably already been accosted by them. They were out there this morning. And I can only repeat that it's entirely up to you, the members. As long as you keep coming to the college in sufficient numbers, we will keep the college open. We've got to have the members in to do the courses. And to support Denman, NFWI have commissioned a book to commemorate the 70 years of Denman courses, a platinum anniversary. And the book will be available around this time next year. The proceeds will go to Denman, and so by purchasing a copy, you will be supporting the college. So please put a leaflet on the Denman stand and find out more about this wonderful book with some lavish photos in it. We have a busy and exciting day ahead with 2 resolutions to discuss and 2 excellent speakers who are waiting to inspire us. So thank you for your attention. I hope I haven't gone on too long this time.
Thank you, Janice. Well, good morning, everyone. And it's lovely to be back in Liverpool. I was first elected to the NF board 6 years ago, and that was the last time we were here in Liverpool, so great memories. Before I give my report, I just want to reflect briefly on the words of my predecessor as Treasurer, the late Stephanie Fort, who many of you probably remember. She likened the finances of an organisation to being like a good foundation garment, underpinning all the other parts, holding them together and keeping them pointing in the right direction. So, to serious matters, it's my duty today to report to you on the NFWI's financial position. And it's always satisfying to be able to report good news. And I'm pleased to say that the NFWI had a successful financial year overall. I'll start with the audited accounts for the last financial year, that is, the 12 months ending on 30th of September 2016. These are consolidated accounts. They cover all 3 parts of the organisation, that is, the NFWI membership charity, which provides support to the whole of the WI movement, our residential training college, Denman, and our trading subsidiary company, WI Enterprises Limited, which raises funds for the charity from commercial business activities. Transactions between these businesses have been eliminated from the consolidated accounts. And as Janice said, you'll find a summary of the audited accounts in the annual review. And of course, there is always a copy on the website, and you can also request a copy from the NFWI Finance Department. So, our consolidated accounts for the year. In 2015-16, total income was £7.18 million, an increase of 5% on the previous year. Whilst total expenditure was £7.08 million, 3% lower than the previous year. The main reasons for the increase in income were an increase in membership subscriptions paid to the NFWI and an increase in Denman's income. The reduction in overall expenditure was because the previous year's expenditure had included the costs of activities to celebrate the WI centenary. And over the year, the market value of our investments also went up by £300,000. We don't plan for any increase in investment values, as this is outside our control, and of course, sometimes investment values can fall. However, any increase or fall in value is included in our total funds. So the £100,000 surplus of income over expenditure plus the investment gains of £300,000 resulted in a total increase in funds at the year end of £400,000. So at the year end, total funds were £9.52 million. This included fixed assets, that is land, buildings and equipment, of £2.64 million, investments of £4.08 million, and net current assets such as stock, cash, debtors and creditors of £2.81 million. So at the 30th of September we held reserves of £4 million. Reserves being funds that the trustees are able to spend freely on the charity's objectives. So not included restricting funds, which can also only be spent on specific purposes, or funds tied up in fixed assets, or designated funds which have been set aside for future projects. So we need to hold reserves to cover fluctuations in income and expenditure, particularly given that we receive most of our membership subscription income in April and May, and have to hold funds to cover expenditure up until the following year's subscriptions come in. We also need reserves to cover any unexpected events. But at the end of the year, the reserves were comfortably above the target level set by the trustees, and we will take this into account in our future financial planning. So those are the headline figures. I referred a few minutes ago to the three different parts of the organisation, and the trustees have different financial objectives for each of the three business areas. And I'd like to look now at the financial performance of each area, that is before consolidation. And I'll start with the NFWI membership charity, not including Denman or enterprises. So our financial objective is not to make a surplus, but to balance income and expenditure, maintaining and enhancing services to the whole organisation. So last year we actually planned to achieve a deficit for the year because some expenditure was funded by designated funds received from VAT refunds in previous years. So the total income for NFWI was 3.1 million and expenditure was 3.21 million, giving a deficit of £110,000 before investment gains. The investment gains were £240,000 and overall this resulted in a net increase in funds of £130,000. £2.38 million, or around 77% of income, came from membership subscriptions, which increased by 5% in the year. The 10p per member increase in the NFWI share of the subscription accounted for 1% of the increase, but most of the increase was due to the growth in the number of members paying subscriptions. A further 15% of income was the profit contributed by the trading subsidiary WI Enterprises, and the final 8% of income came from investments and various charges for activities. So, you've already heard about Denman from Janice, but the trustees' objectives for Denman is that it should achieve a surplus on regular activities that will cover longer term maintenance of the estate. And last year we reported that Denman had achieved a deficit of over £200,000 in 2014-15. Denman's funds had been declining over a period of years, and as responsible trustees we could not allow this to continue. As a member who greatly values what Denman has to offer, I'm therefore very happy to be able to report a significant improvement in Denman's results for 2015-16. And as Janice has said, this is thanks to you, the members, who've come to Denman on courses and events and who have donated to the maintenance of Denman through the Saving Denman appeal. So Denman's income for the year was £2.92 million and its expenditure was £2.72 million, giving a surplus of just over £200,000, plus investment gains of £60,000. So overall, Denman's funds increased by £270,000. Denman's income included £155,000 donated to the Saving Denman appeal up until the end of September 2016, and a one-off legacy of £50,000. But But without these two sources of income, Denman would have achieved a break-even position, which is still a significant improvement for the year, and that was mainly due to the increase in bookings. So well done. And I'm pleased to say, as Janice has said, the increase in bookings has been sustained in 2016-17. So lastly, our trading subsidiary, WI Enterprises Limited. Our objective for WIE is for it to make profits from trading activities and donate these to the parent charity. Activities include publishing and distributing WI Life, advertising sales, commissions and retail sales of diaries and gifts. So WIE's income for the year was 3.11 million, including the payment from the NFWI for producing and distributing WI Life magazine. Costs were 2.6 million and the total profit for the year was £512,000. The profit was around 30% lower than the previous. The main reason was that last year WIE incurred the costs of implementing a new product which would not earn income until the current year. So we expect the profits at the end of this year, 2016-17, to increase to make up for the reduced profit last year. However, WIE is also seeing some decline in the market for its traditional products based on publications. And the challenge now is to develop the market for other types of products, such as our relationships with Hobbycraft and Solver Holidays. So I'd like to say a few words on a subject I'm sure you'll be interested to hear about, and that's the membership subscription. And when deciding on the subscription for the following year, the trustees aim to keep any increase affordable in absolute terms. So the £1.50 increase in 2017 was still less than 3p per week. At the same time, our aim for a number of years now has been to give the largest share of any increase to the WI directly. And we know WIs welcome this increase, and we hope it means members are now getting more from their membership, for example through extra activities or events. But we do also listen to the views of individual members, and the RWI, our Future Membership Survey, gave us a great opportunity to ask if you think the subscription is value for money. And so, as you can see, a total of 88% of respondents agreed, or strongly agreed, that it is value for money. So thank you for listening, and I'd like to finish by thanking Catherine Burton and the team from our auditors, Hayes McIntyre. I'd also like to thank our two Finance Committee advisors, Ruth Kaufman and Kate Collier. Particular thanks to Anne Wheeler, who's Head of Finance, NFWI, and all the members of the NFWI Finance team. Thank you.
Now we come to the Public Affairs Resolution. We've got two resolutions to discuss today. We will debate and vote on one resolution this morning, and we will debate and vote on the second one this afternoon after lunch. I will read the wording for the first resolution, which is alleviating loneliness. This meeting calls on every WI and the NFWI to work alongside health and social care providers and their local community to raise awareness of the causes and impacts of loneliness, thus ensuring better identification of lonely people in order to be able to offer them the appropriate assistance and support. The resolution will now be proposed and seconded, and Maggie Whitlock, a member of North Cape WI East Yorkshire Federation, will propose a resolution. Maggie, thank you.
Loneliness is a feeling that most of us have experienced at some time in our lives. In fact, nearly 1 in 5 people in the UK are chronically lonely. Older adults are particularly vulnerable to the feelings of loneliness, but everyone can be affected. Around 15% of working age people, 16 to 67, can be affected. by the feelings of loneliness and social isolation. Research shows us that chronic loneliness and social isolation has a significant effect on health that's comparable to well-known risk factors such as obesity, physical inactivity, and has a similar effect to cigarette smoking. So loneliness affects our health. Lonely people are more likely to experience high blood pressure, more likely to experience depression and dementia. Studies have found that older people who are lonely are more likely to visit their GP, their A&E department, or be admitted into residential care. The causes of loneliness are varied. It can reflect factors both internal and external to each person, the breakdown of a relationship or a bereavement of a loved one, changes in circumstances such as becoming a parent or moving home can all make someone vulnerable to the feelings of loneliness and isolation. Changes in society mean that more people are living alone, and of course many are happy to do so. But for some, this can contribute to the feelings of loneliness and social isolation. What can the WI do? Each WI can act locally. We know our communities. Our members have a wealth of life experiences that can be shared. We are inventive and supportive organisation that can affect change in several ways. We can work alongside local health and social care providers and other community groups to ensure strategies to combat loneliness are embedded in community services. In many ways, the WI already does this for our members, so we are well placed to lead the way. At a national level, the NFWI can take up the cause. It can work to influence the National Health Service and wellbeing initiatives to ensure that decision makers regard loneliness as a serious health issue. I believe that by tapping into the expertise and local knowledge of members and acting at a local and national level, the WI can make a significant difference. Loneliness affects many, but costs us all dearly. I urge you to support this resolution.
Thank you, Maggie. Barbara Ball, member of Polkington WI East Yorkshire Federation, will second the resolution. Thank you, Barbara.
Who dares to admit they are lonely? Loneliness is a silent epidemic affecting people of all ages and backgrounds. People can be as lonely in a busy city as in a quiet village, but the effects of loneliness are the same, and they need assistance and support. Raising awareness of the causes and impact of loneliness is at the heart of this resolution. One thing that WI members do best is talk. So let's talk. Let's talk to our friends, neighbours, and to local organisations. Let's reach out to care agencies and care homes, mother and baby clinics, and healthcare centres. Some WIs are already working with local groups in their own communities, perhaps providing regular community cafes or volunteering with charities. We can use these partnerships to respond to local needs and to spread the word further. We can also use the power of the pen and the power of social media to raise awareness of this issue beyond our local area and to lobby for national action. This resolution gives every WI member a golden opportunity to do something about a situation that we already know exists in our own communities. We can all do something to tackle loneliness. Let us grasp this opportunity to change the landscape of loneliness into one of ease and hopefulness. I commend this resolution to you.
Thank you, Barbara. Our first expert speaker is Marcus Rand, Director of Development and Communications at Campaign to End Loneliness, who will speak in support of the resolution. Marcus, thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon. It really is a great honour to be speaking here today in support of this resolution. Loneliness has become a major issue for us all, whatever our age. Indeed, a foundation called the Calouste Gulbenkian Foundation, who are our founder funder, has recently published research showing that loneliness is not only of concern to our older population, but it's also a major issue for our children and for young adults too. And the Jo Cox Commission, of which the Campaign to End Loneliness is a proud founding member, revealed at its launch earlier this year that more than a fifth of the British population privately admit that they are always or often lonely. But just 2/3 of those people would never confess to suffering from loneliness in public. The Commission and its 13 organisational partners are working hard to ensure that loneliness across the life course is recognised by policymakers throughout the UK at both a national and a local level. But loneliness has only just been recast as a serious threat to our health and recognised as something very, very significant, something that cannot be cured by a simple dose of tea and sympathy. Experts across different fields have united behind a common understanding that the ache of loneliness currently experienced by over 1 million older people up and down the UK is now having a major impact upon the nation's health and well-being. I think it's important for us all just to step back every now and again and recognise that we are all humans, we are all animals, and we're all incredible social ones at that. And our evolution as a species has been driven by social interaction. So the removal of regular, meaningful human contact, however that happens, is not such a great idea for us as individuals or for us as a society. The consequences are alarming. Loneliness has been likened to the social equivalent of thirst or hunger. It's a way for our bodies to indicate a specific need. In the case of loneliness, that is the need for social connection. Just like food or water, if your body goes without these social connections, it can have detrimental health effects. Research shows that the impact of loneliness on our health is comparable to the effects of high blood pressure, lack of exercise or obesity. In fact, it can have the same effect on mortality as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Or said another way, it increases the likelihood of mortality by over a quarter, by 26%. In short, chronic loneliness is cutting lives short. And there's mounting evidence that those experiencing loneliness are more likely to visit their local doctor or their emergency A&E services. We are now waking up to the fact that this growing tide of loneliness, now measured at over 1 million older people, is placing significant strains on our health and care services. And this strain comes at a significant economic cost. Initial research by the influential social finance team based in London and leading health academics from the London School of Economics has identified that cost comes at some £6,000 per person due to the range of health impacts that loneliness is linked to. Some mental maths that you may be doing will tell you that the overall cost of impact of loneliness lies in the billions. It doesn't come cheap. A recent survey by the campaign found that nearly 2.5 million people would not know where to go for help if they were feeling lonely, and almost 20% of them expect to be lonely as they get older. If loneliness was visible like a broken leg or a rash, we would have taken action long ago. But it isn't. It exists quietly in isolation, lurking often undetected in living rooms up and down the country. The Commissioner for Older People in Wales recently said, if you could catch loneliness, we would have invented a cure by now. But here's the rub, you can't. You can't catch loneliness. It just happens, often as a result of, yes, life events, things that happen to us all, whether that be bereavement, retirement, divorce, separation, family fragmentation, or illness. The causes are many, the impacts are the same. But there is no one magic pill, no one single intervention. It's complex, its causes are diverse, and the solutions won't come in one convenient size, one size fits all kind. So we must begin to look afresh, and we must treat it first of all like any other public health issue, like diabetes or cancer, and recognise that prevention must play a key part alongside cure. As the health, social and economic case for a major intervention builds, we must also recognise that change does not and will not happen on its own. Despite the amazing work of a number of charities, the issue of loneliness is not going away. While the percentage of people living with chronic loneliness hasn't fluctuated much over the past few decades, we now face a major demographic shift. As our population grows and ages, some 2 million people over the age of 65 will be affected by 2050. We appear to be sleepwalking, as George Monbiot, the journalist, says, into a new age, the age of loneliness. But to tackle this issue, we must first acknowledge that there is a huge taboo around the issue. But to solve the problem and begin to provide the support and connections on the scale needed, we must first accept we have a problem, which we must address. The key word here is the word we. Loneliness is not an issue that can be solved by one government, by one minister, by one celebrity, by one company, by one relative, or by one cheque from the Treasury. It must become a societal endeavour, an important mission for us all. But why must we accept the mission? Well, somewhere underneath it all, if we all dig hard enough, if we all look hard enough, we'll recognise that we are all connected. We are all mothers, we are all fathers, we're all daughters, sons, grandchildren, friends and neighbours. We are all human, and it's time for us to play our part, to create a reaction against loneliness that is so powerful it will help us reconnect the missing millions, to enable the invisible to become visible again. We need to all make sure that loneliness moves from an issue tackled largely by the voluntary sector to one that mobilises us all. We need a community-wide response, an outbreak of kindness to reconnect our missing millions. I'd now like to read an extract from a recent blog written by the chair of our campaign, Janet Morrison, who's also the Chief Executive of Independent Age. Her words, I think, will ring true to many of you. She talks about communities and what communities mean to her. And she writes, communities are not just the voluntary sector, they are the local authority. For older people, they are not the local authority. For people, they are many things. They are friends, families and neighbours, shopkeepers who say hello to you. They are places and spaces, benches to sit on, the world to watch the world go by. They are supermarkets, cafes, Wetherspoons pubs and Greg's bakeries. They are community centres and care homes. They are football clubs and rugby clubs and watching the cricket. They are libraries and parks, bus stops and buses. They are book clubs, book groups, bird watching, ramblers and sewing classes. They are reading in schools and work in the allotment. They are painting and dancing and singing in choirs. They are yoga and Pilates and armchair aerobics. They are classes and lectures and learning new skills. They are local history groups, amenity societies, campaigns and petitions. They are web forums, chats and community radio. They are churches and temples, synagogues and mosques. They are street parties, fetes, festivals, weddings and funerals. They are everything that leave their doors wide open and a chance for a smile, a laugh and a chat. In Janet's words, we must ensure loneliness becomes everyone's business. And we at the campaign would love you all to play your part. You don't need me to tell you that your organisation has a very, very proud history of leading from the front in driving significant change on major issues of our time. You are an important catalyst for change. By supporting this motion, you can help make a real difference at a local and a national level by offering not just a place for a smile and a laugh and a chat, but by mobilising others to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus. I now call on Sarah Mitchell, Adult Social Care Improvement Advisor, who will set out some points for consideration against the resolution. Can I point out that Sarah does not personally oppose the resolution, but has very kindly agreed to share her time and expertise and set out some of the arguments against the resolution to enable us to have a full discussion. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. I'd like to start by thanking the WI for inviting me to speak on such an important issue, and to thank you for listening to me. I do believe that a different approach to alleviating loneliness is needed, and I speak as someone who's been in the NHS and social services for over 30 years as a nurse, a social worker, and at the moment as a government advisor to the future care of older people. But I also speak as a sociologist, and I really believe in ensuring that we develop our approach to change based on evidence, sound evidence and research. And evidence which is much harder to prove when we're talking about how people choose to live in our society and to adapt to how society changes over the years. And that's what we're talking about today. I absolutely applaud and support the focus on the impact of loneliness in our society today, but I would not approach it by calling on the government to embed it in local health and wellbeing plans. This is a very laudable humanitarian approach, which we do for many conditions. We identify those people who are vulnerable in our community, we put a strategy in place to tackle it, and we develop services for people to access to reduce the impact of the problem. But that will not work with loneliness. Firstly, the evidence does not exist to support this approach. The prevalence of loneliness has remained relatively constant since the Second World War, and the levels of loneliness are consistent across Europe and in Australia and New Zealand. And even in cultures like China and Japan, where we think there are different cultures reducing and avoiding loneliness, that isn't the case. Loneliness is part of our human condition. We all experience it at some time, and there is evidence to show that it is still confined to a minority of people. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't be looking at how to deal with it, but we need to deal with it in a proportionate and a very sensitive way. Who in this room would want to admit to a researcher that they feel lonely? And we risk doing some damage by making people feel that somehow it is their fault and that we need strategies to make them better. The links to mental ill health and dementia are there, but loneliness is experienced when you have these conditions because of the way society views those conditions, and because we don't prioritise those services through health and social care. Reducing loneliness will not improve those experiences alone. I was assessing the care needs of an older man with disabilities once as a social worker, and when I suggested that we could get someone in to visit him as part of his package, he said, "I've never paid for friendship in my life, and I am not going to start now." He was horribly offended, and I felt ashamed for suggesting it. To treat loneliness as a condition does not understand the cause of feeling lonely and what will help to reduce it. Later I'm going to talk about grief and loss and fear as the real causes of loneliness, and how the WI might work together to make a real difference to all of us who experience those feelings. The second reason I do not think that the WI focus for this campaign should be working on the government and NHS and social care locally and nationally is because we are confusing loneliness with social exclusion and making this a medical and individual issue rather than an issue for many of us in our society. This is not the business of health and social care alone. It is an issue for our whole society and how it's structured. Exclusion and vulnerability stem from poverty, social and physical mobility, lack of reliable transport, use of social media, new family structures, and cultural alienation. If we tackle social exclusion by creating a society which recognises the impact of these things, so that people with disabilities have enough money to live on, public transport becomes accessible and available in all areas, there's a zero tolerance of hate crime, then it has to be for all ages in our community. In confusing social exclusion with loneliness, we stigmatise people and we portray a negative image of them as the majority being sad, lonely people who need acts of kindness. Why do we need funding initiatives to be kind is the question we need to ask. This is not the case. Using older people as an example, the majority, especially those who are now entering their 70s, are wealthy and active, socially connected and engaged with their families and enjoying their later lives. Those who are not are excluded by being poor, living in poor housing and unable to travel because they rely on public transport. Solving that issue requires a different cross-government initiative. It is a sad fact that because of the reduced central funding of essential voluntary sector providers and the increased reliance on fundraising to support essential services in our communities, that we've developed a fundraising approach based on stimulating fear and sadness, which we respond to, all of us, by donating to that cause. I'm not going to single out any particular campaigns who use that approach, but it is compounded by negative media images. And it once led an older lady to say to me that she thinks that society sees her as a burden now to be looked after, with the government having to find money to look after her instead of funding schools and nurseries. And would it not be better if she was no longer here? There is a danger that we are making older people especially feel sad and lonely by the very nature of the debate. So if this is what we should not be doing, then what can we do to alleviate loneliness and for all of us? The research shows that feeling lonely often stems from the loss of a spouse or other family members. And whilst other people can help to keep you company, they cannot take away the loneliness of losing a life partner. And living alone is not the cause of the lonely feelings. Many people choose to live alone, and particularly older people universally say that when interviewed that they want to stay living in their own family home, on their own for as long as they're physically able, and they do not want to live with their children, and they certainly do not want to live with strangers. A cause of loneliness felt after losing a spouse or a close friend or relative has recently been described so well by Sheryl Sandberg in her book Option B. You may have heard her recently on Woman's Hour on Radio 4. People did not want to talk to her after her husband's death, after their initial "I am so sorry for your loss," and she felt lonelier in her grief as a result. We know talking about things helps, but it takes precious time and a willingness to face our own fear. In reassuring others, we are often really reassuring ourselves. The research also shows that loneliness stems from a fear of death, from becoming suddenly aware of our own mortality, from a diagnosis of some kind. Those of us in this room who've had a cancer or are living with it now know there is no lonelier time than 3 o'clock in the morning when you've only yourself to talk about it and when everyone is encouraging you to win the battle against it and you alone know how hard that is and how your life has changed in order to be able to deal with it. The double whammy for some older people is that they might be facing such a challenge without their lifelong partner or closest friends, and it makes it harder still. It also means they might not have access to some of the things that younger members of the community have, such as using the internet, social media, exercise, all of those sorts of things that people use to build their own resilience. Also, for younger women, the loneliness of having your first child can be overwhelming as you change from being a capable, well-respected woman in your field of work to someone who apparently cannot get through the day without being judged or given advice. And competitive mums groups can be very lonely places. For women who've experienced abuse as a child particularly, having a child can feel a very scary and lonely place to be, as can anyone in a domestic abuse situation. Talking about it is what really makes it feel so important. But let's change the way we talk to each other, not to constantly reassure each other and jolly each other along and involve people in everything, but to really listen to what it feels like to face those fears and feel the loneliness of them. So I would advocate that the WI campaign becomes one of talking and listening helps. And if WI members feel concerned that they don't have the skills for these conversations, then perhaps we can develop a training programme and learn together. But I bet you are the best organisation to lead this on your own, with the support of the many, many members that we've heard about this morning. The benefit of such an approach is that it could be led by the WI, and it can start today or tomorrow. It will not be a bureaucratic strategic approach waiting for the statutory sector to respond, and it will be meaningful for all ages, listening to the difficult things young people want to talk about on a daily basis are as important. I hope that I put an alternative argument for alleviating loneliness that seeks not to stigmatise and medicalise loneliness, but to recognise the real causes and suggest a way of doing something which can start immediately, enrich all of our lives, and most importantly embrace people, particularly those who have been recently bereaved, who are facing illness or in difficult circumstances, so that they can participate fully in our more resilient communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Right, we'll now take some points from the floor. Please remember to state clearly your name, WI and federation, and the stewards will be holding up the flags to indicate where the microphone points are. So, and please try and remember to keep to 2 minutes. So the microphones are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At least that's what it says on this piece of paper here.
Hello, Liz Howard, Hawkesbury and Horton WI, Avon Federation. The last speaker I really associate with in this resolution. Loneliness is more social, I think, and can affect any age from 5 to 95. Children can feel lonely. New school. We've all felt lonely when we've started new jobs, college, universities, high increase in suicides at universities. If we can help people at that age and young mums to develop strategies to coping with anxiety and loneliness, then maybe it won't affect older people when they get to the older age. I would like to see the resolution looking at people who feel loneliness, or feel lonely rather than lonely people as well. That's all really. I just feel we ought to look at the social exclusion or social needs as well if we're going to accept this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Microphone 3, thank you.
Hi, my name's Laura Jackson. I'm from Havering WI. This is a very emotional subject for me. I know that my granddad suffered from loneliness. He actually died from loneliness. Not just the older generation, no, it is the younger generation that is suffering from this. And it was said that who would hold their hands up and say that they are lonely? I hold my hand up and say I have suffered from loneliness. And people look at me and they say, why would you suffer? Why would you suffer from loneliness? You're young, you know, you seem like you're forward. But yes, I suffer from loneliness. why do I suffer from loneliness? Well, when you move to a new place, you don't know anybody. How do you get to know people? I shut myself away in a room and I never go out. I never went out. And the only reason that I actually started going to the WI was my next door neighbour came over and said to me, "I don't see you. I was just wondering if you'd be interested in the WI." And at first I was like, well, why would I, what me, go to the WI? Well, I'm a young person. I thought that was for older people. What's that all about? But you know what? I went along and I was very anxious, suffering badly from anxiety because I'd not been to see anybody in such a long time. And the WI they were amazing. They accepted me. And all of a sudden, all these people started to talk to me, and all of a sudden, I was no longer lonely. And I think that it is important for the WI as a whole to be able to recognise people that are suffering, and it's not just the older generation, it is the younger people as well. And I think that it is important also, though, that doctors and other people like that recognise it as well, because it's very difficult to get people to come to places like this and for others to recognise that. But I know that doctors will recognise it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there anybody at microphone 4? 5? 6? I think we've got somebody back at number 3. Have we got anybody at number 1? Have you got anybody? No, 2? You're back to you, number 3. I'll come back to, yeah, right, I'll come back.
Hi, Abby White. I'm from the Leeds WI, Oxfordshire Federation, and my guide dog Annie, I should introduce her as well. I'd like to say that I don't think loneliness and social exclusion are mutually exclusive. I think that we need to consider both together to really assist anyone who is experiencing either or both of those situations. I look at myself and I think certainly I would fit myself in both camps. I joined the WI because I live on my own and I work from home, and I was looking for opportunities to connect with people in the community. But as somebody with a disability, it can be very hard to reach out to the community and sort of say, it's actually really hard to walk into a room where I don't know anyone, and could I meet somebody beforehand? And there are a lot of people who would find that very, very hard to connect with people and have the confidence to do that, and so they're more likely to sort of stay at home and not reach out. So I think we need to be very mindful that a person who is lonely is perhaps more likely to be on the margins of social inclusion because of that. So I don't think it's not the chicken and the egg. We need to address both of those situations together in order to really reach out and draw people into the community effectively. So I just thought it would be worth sharing my experience, and certainly it's been a very, very valuable experience for me to join the WI.
Thank you, and thank you very much. We go to number 4, please.
Am I number 4?
Oh, we're just, sorry.
Easy. Nothing like raking in.
Is it number 6 up there that's waving?
My name's Claire. I'm from Nunhead WI, and we're in the West Kent Federation. And I just wanted to echo what the last 2-3 ladies have said, actually, because I've gone through a series of events quite similarly to what the last speaker spoke about. I went through new motherhood, cancer, and then bereavement within about 6 months. And my WI got me through it. It was a brand new WI. I think we do this already, and I think we do it damn well. I don't know that... And the other thing that I'd like to echo is that we shouldn't have to legislate for kindness. We should just be being kind to each other. And I suppose with the world being the way it is at the moment, everyone's so polarised, and I think we're losing that a lot, and I think we're losing empathy and kindness and humanity. And this is an incredible organisation, this is an incredible room full of women, so keep on doing it whether this goes through or not, because you're amazing, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Number 6? Actually, the numbers there are not the same as the numbers here, but then they never are. Number 6.
Jill Poole from Lee Brockhurst Branch, Shropshire Federation. I'd like to commend the previous speakers for talking about their own experience of loneliness, but the point I really want to make is that being alone and loneliness are not necessarily the same thing. It's possible to feel at your most lonely when you are in a crowd, and there are many people who do make the effort to go out and join social groups and still feel very lonely because they don't have that deep level of connection whereby they can talk about their deepest inner anxieties.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Number 1.
Oh, that's us. Okay. Jill Pope, Norfolk Federation, Haddiscoe WI. This is perhaps a slightly different look at this. We all know children and families who are on their phones day in, day out. We've all been to restaurants when families have sat together and they've all got their tablets and their telephones and everything, and they do not talk. So maybe us at WIs could insist or suggest to our daughters, families, grandchildren, whoever, that they put them away and actually talk to one another. And one small personal memento, my son had a very good friend whose parents were divorced, and he came round every tea time, and I found that the teenagers at the age of 15 were talking to me far more than they ever talked to their parents. So listen to your children and your friends.
Thank you. Number 2 hasn't got anybody. Number 3, again.
Hello, I'm Sophie Nelson from Shelswell WI, Oxfordshire Federation. You can just about see I've got my own cause for loneliness perhaps coming up. With all these other things to worry about, I didn't think this would be a cause for loneliness as well. I completely agree with the thought and the intention behind the resolution. My real concern is that in practical measures, it's too diverse. The second speaker made a really good point about you can't address loneliness as a concept, as a feeling, and what you have to address is the diverse root causes of loneliness. So I would say that I support supporting those who feel loneliness, but in reality, you have to address all of those different causes, and that doesn't work at national level. And so I think the resolution is flawed to look at strategy and the administration and to pick up on the point that the lady, a couple with the lovely blonde curly hair, made, that we do a lot of these things already, but actually it needs to be targeted to have impact, that we are best to act on the causes of loneliness when we recognise them in the demographics of our own local groups. Why do people feel lonely? What is it that's happening in our own communities that there's some sort of pattern to help? So I think that for it to work, and like I say, I agree with the intentions of it, it needs to be practical, it needs to be targeted, and it needs to reflect our own communities and not wait for the government to put something in place. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Have we got one at number 4?
Hello, I'm Ros Warrener from the Wolfords WI in Warwickshire. I've agreed with so much as everybody else has been saying, but one of the things that we were concerned about was the wording of this resolution. We felt that we would not like the social services or the mental health or the doctors to refer us, say, to the WI and say, oh, poor Mrs. Jones, she needs you to go round and say hello. We can do it ourselves in our communities, but please look at the wording. Are we asking for the social services and the other agencies to be involved with us? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Number 5?
D. Hanson, Welbury WI, North Yorkshire East. I started losing my hearing when I was 30. I have had hearing aids for more than 40 years, and I wear my hair short so they show. I always admit to it. But because it is not a wheelchair or a walking stick, I can feel very lonely in a group when other people are talking quietly or they have their backs to me. We need to admit if we have a problem. We need to educate everyone around us how to deal with it. Social isolation isn't just people in their own homes, it's out and about everywhere.
Thank you. And number 6?
Hello, my name's Kay Laurie and I'm from Llangoed and Anglesey. I'm glad I'm wearing my pacemaker. It's helping me feel braver to face this audience. So thank you very much to all the friends I have made in Llangoed since I moved to live in Anglesey. The point I'd like to make is about the men in our community as well. My partner took his own life 10 years ago, and I'd moved to a place where I knew nobody. And the WI have reached out to me and have become wonderful friends, so I'd like to thank them. But I would like to say that men in particular are not as good as us women at getting together. And I think if, in our considerations, if we can find a way to reach out some of the lonely men in the community as well, that would be a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Back to number 1.
Jenny Burton, Aylesbury Town WI, Buckinghamshire Federation. I would just like to identify with the lady who spoke, who's expecting her bundle of joy very soon, and to say our WI debated this, and we wondered how we would actually initiate the recommendation if it goes through. And we felt just by a very simple way, although we do a lot in the local community, is smiling as we go around the town and just saying hello and good morning. It might be the only person that smiled at them that day or said good morning or good afternoon. And that's something we can all do, and very local, very small, but could be quite significant. Thank you.
Thank you. Nobody at number 2? No. Number 3 again?
Hello, I'm Angela Payne from Holmfirth WI, West Yorkshire. I'd just like to say that myself and a WI member have set up a Meals on Wheels service, and I'm hoping to set up a befriending service in our valley if I can get the funding and the volunteers. And also in our valley we have a sharing memories and a friend-to-friend service, and they're very successful. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 4, have you got somebody there again? Yes, I can't see.
Hello, Jan Armitage, Stibbington and Wansford WI, Peterborough and Huntingdonshire Federation. I would just like to say I was lonely as a young mum long time ago. I was lonely as a military wife for a very long time. And one of the things that I learned is the importance of actually walking alongside somebody rather than talking to them or talking at them. I did some work with people suffering from HIV in Africa and found that the ladies there appreciated you sat beside them, not looking at them, and that they could share their experiences of loneliness and hardship much more easily. I think I agree with what we've heard before. The wording of the resolution is slightly flawed, and that actually this is something we can do today. We can start ourselves today. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 6.
Hi, I'm Paula Pierce from Seven Sisters WI in Shropshire. I'd just like to say, I know a lot of ladies have said how the WI has helped them to alleviate loneliness, but can I just ask you to look around in your WIs when you sat there in meetings? A friend of mine told me about a lady who'd been in tears to her after the meeting because nobody had actually spoken to her at all during the meeting. That's it, thank you.
Thank you. Back to number 1.
Hello, I'm Anne Munford from Foy in Cornwall, WI. Many years ago when I first moved to Foy, I was on my own and quite lonely, and was told by different people where you need to assess your attitude. And I thought I used to help my mother, and I could help elderly people. So I contacted what was then Age Concern, and I was put forward as a befriender to lonely people. And I went to see this lovely Cornish lady, and she told me that she was referred to me through her doctor contacting Age Concern. So although we're all saying, well, yeah, you know, we can do it ourselves, quite often we don't. We have all good intentions. But it was the doctor, so therefore it was going to the doctor first that got her a friend and got me a friend as well. And we helped each other. So I think that perhaps contacting the proper agencies is sometimes a good idea.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Oh. Number 2 has woken up. Yes.
Number 2. I had to come because no one's spoken from number 2.
Thank you.
Melody Baines from White Regis Branch, Dorset Federation. Just to say that there's another group of people who've only just barely been touched upon who could be lonely, and that is people who work from home. Because of the invention of the internet, many people are now able to work from home. They have very little contact with colleagues, and so they can become isolated. I'm a home worker, but I've not been lonely. My WI has always supported me. I have so many friends. Our WI runs a community cafe once a month, and it's attended by mostly non-members. Some have joined as a result. But I think it's right. The WI is a very good organisation for tackling loneliness and for identifying those who need support. Thank you.
Thank you. I think this is probably the last one. Is that number 4?
Hello, Fiona Johnston-Clark, Catford WI, West Kent.
Of course, the WI has to offer companionship and work to alleviate loneliness. But MyWI was concerned about the wording, that we should ensure better identification of lonely people. MyWI felt that this meant that it would look like something that was being imposed on people. Let's seek out a lonely person and then rescue them. We were a little bit worried that this might actually damage the reputation of the WI and kind of enhance that old idea of people who do things at people rather than people who offer companionship. So Catford WI has asked you to do these things, do as much as we can to work against loneliness, but actually oppose the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Got time for one more? Is there one more? No, do you know, I don't think I've ever got to the state where we've run out of people. That's great, that's fine, that's great. Oh, have I got one? No, all right then. Go on. Number one.
Kathy Griffiths, Weybourne WI. I'm a Link delegate, which made me very reluctant to speak today. But I'm now very worried about going ahead with this resolution. I've spoken to 4 different WIs, been to their meetings, and on the whole, there was the same concerns expressed about the wording of the resolution. And I think if my members had had the opportunity to hear what I heard this morning, that concern would have grown. And I'm in a dilemma that overall, out of my 4 WIs, we have a slim majority for the resolution, but I don't think that they would be very happy now with the wording of the resolution, and I would urge you to reconsider the wording of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And I think this is the opportune moment where I ask Maggie if she wishes to use her right to reply before we vote on the resolution.
Thank you. The first thing I'd like to say is that we're a voluntary organisation. We give our time gladly to many different causes. We don't ask the government for funding. Often the people we deal with, certainly in our community cafe, are men. And the age range is between 2 years old and 97. So, as people have described from the floor, we certainly, or this organisation, you, in whatever way you think fit, you can improve loneliness of people living in your communities in some small way, or working with other charities if you need to do that. There are many organisations that provide training and skills. Age UK is one of them. If you want to go down the route of friendship, cafes, etc. Somebody said the most important thing was actually listening to people. We should treat all people with dignity. No one should face loneliness head on. Oh, are you lonely? Come to the cafe. It's not like that. You meet it sideways. You give them opportunities. You smile. You hold out a hand. And if they take it, good. If they don't, try again. Somebody mentioned men. That's particularly important. And we have a group of men that stick together and have a gossip. We have farmers that haven't seen each other for years, who have retired and they're in isolated communities. We also looked at, before we opened our cafe, whether any people actually living alone. And in a 5 to 10 mile radius of our small village, there were 1,500 people living there. If I've given the impression that it's only health related, it certainly has an effect. It's certainly costing the NHS plenty of money. And certainly the government is putting money into public health and social service initiatives and wellbeing boards, or including loneliness and social isolation, into their joint strategic responses to health and social care. Even so, the carers get half an hour to go in and deliver that care. I don't know about you, but it takes me an hour to get ready in the morning. But how do you combat that lonely person living in the home? You know who needs transport. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
To stop, because it's time to vote on the resolution. Thank you very much. Welcome to our meeting, Jo.
My name's Jo Fairley and I am a chocoholic. And I'm also founder with my husband Craig Sams of Green and Blacks. And I'm absolutely delighted to be here this morning because WI has a very special place in my heart. To inspire you with the story of building Green and Blacks into a global ethical brand, in which actually, you may not realise, but you did play a little part. In 1991, I had married a man called Craig Sams, who's a very green man indeed. And one day I walked into his office and I found 2 squares from a sample bar of dark chocolate sitting on his desk. Now, what would you do if you found 2 squares of dark chocolate? Yeah, quite. And I teased him, ho, 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 Mr. Whole Foods. He was running a company called Whole Earth at the time, and anyone who's had his peanut butter will know why I married him. But I put these 2 squares in my mouth, and they exploded on my taste buds. I mean, it was literally the most delicious, yummiest, naughtiest chocolate I'd ever eaten. And then he told me it was the world's first organic chocolate, and so obviously I felt no guilt whatsoever about eating it. And Craig explained to me he wasn't really going to do anything with this chocolate. He was going to tell a friend of ours who might be interested in distributing it. And I nagged at him and I nagged at him and I nagged at him. And eventually Craig turned around and said, look, if you're so interested, you do it. And what he really meant by that was that I had to do the PR and the marketing. And the really big catch was that I had to finance it too, because he didn't have launching a whole new brand in his budget. And this was completely unknown territory for me. But I'm often asked what my, success secrets are. One is simply to be prepared to work harder than you ever thought possible. Number 2, I truly believe in trying to do good while you're doing business, because I think that that's where the magic happens. And you will be repaid many, many times over. Number 3, really importantly, is to have fun at work. I personally love the sound of laughter in an office. Maybe not behind me, but definitely in front of me. Number 4 is to make your staff feel like part of a team. I really admire any company which gets its staff involved in some kind of corporate social responsibility activity. I mean, it's a really nasty phrase for actually just doing good. It's unwieldy, but actually anything that you can do, like guerrilla gardening or planting, planting a guerrilla garden, or painting a homeless shelter, or some kind of, care centre for elderly people. It has a tremendously bonding effect on the team, and you make a difference to the world that you live in by engaging in that activity. And actually, funnily enough, I don't even mind if companies get involved in that kind of thing, because it looks good in the annual report, because at the end of the day the result is the same. Somebody gets helped in the community, and it actually changes the mindset of the people who get involved in that scheme themselves. I think after you reach a certain point in your career, then actually anyone is beholden to pay that forward and start to mentor other young women. And I think at any point, I've now got 3 or 4 young women under my wing, as it were. If I really feel that I can share my insights and experiences, but most of all, my little black book. Anita was amazing at opening up her little black book to me. And often it's just because they've been bold enough to come up and speak to me and say, would I mentor them? And so if any of you have daughters or granddaughters, I would really encourage them right from the very beginning of their career to try to find somebody who will take them under their wing. But, you know, it's been the most amazing adventure, all of it. To have gone from a Portobello bedroom to a brand that is worth approaching 100 million is officially cooler than Prada. And most of all, partly through the support of chocolate lovers and perhaps the occasional chocoholic among you, has helped to change the lives of thousands of farmers and their families in the developing world. I honestly don't think that there's any woman in business today that could possibly ask for more than that. Thank you.
The 2016 Lady Denman Cup competition invited WI members and NFWI associates to write a letter to their younger self using no more than 500 words. Competitors were asked to draw on their life experiences and imagine what they would say if they had the opportunity to guide their younger selves. The competition was very popular, and the NFWI received 147 entries from 60 federations. The winner of the 2016 competition is Carol Waldron from Avon Federation. Please welcome Carol to the stage. The aim of the Huxley Cup competition is to find the flower arranger who shows maximum creativity and skill. The theme for the Huxley Cup competition in 2016 was Reflections, Lady Brunner and the WI. The competition took place at Gray's Court in Oxfordshire, the former home of Lady Elizabeth Brunner, National Chair of the NFWI from 1951 to 1956. Competitors were invited to interpret one of 6 themes reflecting aspects of Lady Brunner's life. The winner of the 2016 competition is Anne Willets from Gwent Federation. Please welcome Anne to the stage. The 2016 Elizabeth Bell Challenge competition invited WIs to create a digital story using both photography and audio to show the impact that the WI has had on their community. Through her digital story, the winner of the competition shows how caring for the village community has always been at the heart of her WI. The winner is Jenny Shaw from Gloucestershire Federation. Regrettably, Jenny is unable to be here today, but Pat Davey, WI officer from Newham on 7 WI, will collect it on her behalf. Please welcome Pat to the stage.